I never wanted to be married. I never desired marriage. Like I said, I don't come from that. I didn't see that. I didn't see healthy relationships. And then the relationships I did see growing up, I didn't want to be a part of that.
Yep.
And just to be completely honest, I've always had infidelity issues in relationships before, because I'm like, you're just about to bounce out on me or cheat on me, or, you know what I mean? Like, that was my brain. Like, you know what I mean? Look out for myself.
Okay.
Always be about myself. Look out for myself. And when I met him, that completely changed.
Relationships matter. I need you to understand. Relationships matter.
Welcome to Relationships Matter. I'm Chanel Scott.
And I am Josh Powell.
And we have an amazing guest with us here today, Miss Turquoise Barney.
Yes.
Welcome to Relationships Matter. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're going to jump right in.
Okay.
You know, I've already been talking to you about your relationship.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk all things relationship. But my first question to you is going to be, why do relationships matter to you?
Because I feel like relationships are the foundation to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's a intimate relationship with your partner, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship that you have with your family members, relatives, things like that. I just feel like they set the foundation for your life and how you operate in your daily life, or how you converse with other people, or the types of relationships that you're able to build with other people.
Being from Northern California,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk a little bit about the differences and maybe some cultural things or some family traditional things that, you know, how you were raised and how you view relationships?
So crazy as it is, being raised in California, from what I see versus living here,
Mm-hmm.
we had no tradition. We don't have any culture. It doesn't exist.
Gotcha.
Even for traditional things that have went on in past time, like we weren't raised like that. And I always tell people, like, it's like a more liberal sense. Like, we just do what we do. Like, there's no structure, there's no ordinance, there's no nothing when it comes to family units or relationships and things like that. Like I told you before, I don't have a lot of married friends there, or people who are in healthy relationships per se. But when coming here, it's just completely different. To be married is a culture. There's a culture of married people here. People in relationships, even going out to, like, you know, clubs and bars, nightlifes, to see couples together. In California, we don't see none of that. We go out with our friends. You know what I mean? And still today, I left there in 2016, and it's still the same. Like, you know, it's cliquish with my friends. It's not, oh, we're having couples dates or couples nights and things like that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist there, but from what I was around there versus here, completely different.
Yeah, I think it's a southern culture.
Yeah.
Right? I think the goal here is to be married.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People, they aspire to be married.
Mm-hmm.
They look at other people. Now you have social media and you see relationships. You're like, you know.
It's normal.
It's normal.
It's normalized here. And it's so crazy because me and my husband aren't from here.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see it, we're like, okay, well, this is what people do here. This is what you're supposed to do. We both come from married parents, but they've had toxic, broken relationships. You know, my dad was married to my mom for 11 years, and, you know, they were both, you know, drug addicts and, you know, born in the 80s and things like that. Even his mom, like, she was married to her husband twice, divorced him twice, both toxic relationships. So we don't know healthy forms of marriage or even being in a relationship. It was really hard work for us because we don't come from that. We didn't have friends who were like that until we got here. And it was just a game changer. Like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. And this is what we want to do. We just didn't know how to do it, if that makes sense, or if it was right to do.
Real quick, why don't you see as many married couples in, like, where you're from?
You know, like I told you before, it's pimping, man, out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a pimping hoe culture out there, unfortunately. Like, or, you know, I'm going to use this language, I'm sorry, but, you know, I'm from California, but men feel like it's, you know, they'll say AOB, you know, all on a female. You know what I mean? Like, their livelihood and how they survive is off of a female. It's common there.
AOB.
Yeah, the B word.
Yeah.
So it's all on a female. When I say pimping culture, it's just not I'm a pimp. It's how they construct their lives and how they survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I only know probably 2 men in my life out there who are married with women and they take care of their women. Other than that,
Women take care of the men.
yes.
Wow.
And it's common. And I don't care what nobody tell you, that's common. In Northern California, because that's where.
So you know I'm going to get
I'm
in your
from.
business because your husband, Marcus Barney, a.k.a. him 500.
Yeah.
How did you guys connect with that culture? Like
I said, it was hard for us. And, you know, to the core, like, you know, Marcus is still a nigga. But, you know, when we so that's how our situation kind of started off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was like, well, I don't want to be in a relationship. I just got out of a relationship. I'm like, well, I'm not looking for one either. So we can just have fun. Like, this is just what we're going to do. As I told you, we had a travel ship because he was already living here.
Mm-hmm.
So he would go back and forth because we're from the same place. So his family's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, we would meet up in places. Like our first date was in Houston, Texas. Because we're like, let's go to a place we ain't never really been before. I've been to, you know, Vegas. We drive to Vegas. It's a cheap flight all the time. I was like, I've been to Arizona, you know, Washington. I was like, I haven't really been to Texas yet. He was like, well, I ain't really been to Texas yet either. So we met there. That was our first date. And after that, we kind of hit it off. So a year later, I just kind of noticed that I was like, man, he's just taking up a lot of my time. Like, he required so much from me, but we're not in a relationship.
Right.
And then I got tired of explaining myself. Like, you know what I mean? Once again, the mentality that we come from, like, look, we ain't in a, you know.
Were you a
what we
part of
doing?
have you ever participated in the pimping culture?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I was raised by a man. I was
Okay.
raised by my father. I didn't
Okay.
have a mother. So I was raised by my father, and literally everyone that I did know or everyone that was a friend of mine didn't have a father.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like, and for a lot of my growing up, I felt like I did things to please my father.
Gotcha.
So I knew that that's something that would disappoint him. And plus, I wasn't never, I didn't come from a poverty-stricken household. I just came from a poverty-stricken environment because my dad didn't know any better. You know what I mean? But he had a good job. You know, he made good money. We just lived like we didn't. In an area like we didn't, if that makes sense. So no, never desired to. And they was always getting beat up and stuff.
Well, I was asking
You
too
know?
because you said you
What happened over here?
you didn't feel like explaining yourself, but do you think that's because there was probably the assumption, or what was the explaining part that you said you didn't feel like getting into?
Explaining what I was doing, why I was doing it, where I was going. It was like we're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, if this is what you want, I'm open to it. I want to be in a relationship because you're taking up a lot of my time.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it would be all night. We would be all night on the phone or all day texting or, you know, where you at, what you doing, and vice versa. I was doing it to him too. I can't just make it seem like it was just him. So we were kind of doing it to each other. And I was like, man, this feels like a relationship. Like, I feel like,
Gotcha.
yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like when that time came, when I was like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. He was like, no, I told you I didn't want to be in a relationship. And I was like, well, if you don't want to be in a relationship, then we can't move on or continue forward. So I blocked him for maybe about 5 days. And then he emailed me because that's the only way he can get in touch with me, and was like, we need to talk. And then we established a relationship from there.
So he gave in 5 days.
5 days.
Because
I'm like, what?
He knew with that little 5 days.
Men always do know what they want, but I just feel like, you know, that word relationship means that I have to give so much of myself that I'm probably not ready for. You know what I mean? And I don't know. And plus I had a child at the time too.
Okay.
So for us to be in a relationship, it's like you have to be a part of this. You know what I mean? And I just think realistically that's something that he didn't want. And he just said he wanted to be in a relationship so he wouldn't lose me. Because it was shitty at first. You know what I mean? Like, it was real rocky. You know what I mean? So I saw the changes. You know, you see the red flags and stuff. And I'm like, no, you just know when somebody really doesn't want it. And it was like, I kind of forced it because of the position he was putting me in. Like,
Right.
we're in a relationship. Like, you know, you're requiring so much from me. You know what I mean? And I can only give it to you if we're in a relationship.
Right.
So that's pretty much how that happened.
I was gonna say, how did you manage the distance though? Like, even with him being over here on the East Coast and you on the West Coast.
Like I said, we're on the phone a lot.
Okay.
You know, we talked a lot. Like because I was in college. So literally, like I would just go to school, come home, and take care of my child. That's it. But other than that, like we're on the phone a lot, texting a lot, FaceTiming. And I'm like, you know, you're taking up a lot of my time. Like even on weekends too, because that was the thing. Like we had a rule, we wouldn't talk on the weekends. That was just a rule. Like, you know, we're not together. You know what I mean? We're not talking on the weekends. Then he start calling me on Fridays and Saturdays. And I'm like, oh my God. Once again, my mentality, my Northern California mentality was like, look, if we're going to do this, this has to be where we're going to be at.
But the video I saw, did he not have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
And when you got knowledge of that, how did you deal with that?
We didn't talk anymore. Yeah, we didn't talk anymore. And then he was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling her. I dumped her, woo this. But, you know, women, you know, we're detectives, you know, at 100%. So I was like, well, she just uploaded this picture, you know, of you guys. Like I said, it was just real rocky. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anything that him or I wanted. That's why I said distance worked until it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we get back, definitely want to take a quick left because you mentioned prior already being a mother. And just wanting to see what that feels like to allow somebody in your space, in your child's space. Because I know that's a big deal
Yeah.
for anybody. When we get back, relationships matter.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. So before we went to break, we were talking about your whole dating experience with Mr. Marcus Barney, who is now in the house. I got to put that out there. He snuck up on us. But I want to talk about you just being a mom and dating.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
It was scary. My daughter has never met any man because she had an active family. Like her father and his family, they're very active in her life. And plus I was raised by my father. I've never been introduced, well, to one woman besides my mother. So just, first off, she's a little girl, right? So I just think I can't have anybody else that have any type of influence around my child. You know what I mean? Because she has a father. So I would never, nobody's ever met her. Like Marcus is the only one who met her. And how he met her was because as we were dating, when he would come to California and visit, I would always make sure that she was gone. And obviously, because I don't, you know, we're just dating. I don't know if you're going to be here. I don't want to introduce her to you. I don't want her asking, you know, well, where's that man? You know what I mean? Because I just know how uncomfortable it would make me to explain it to her, like mommy's dating. Then here comes another man or whatever the case may be. So I remember one day he said, how come you never bring your daughter around? And I didn't say anything. I just remained quiet. And he said, if you don't bring her around, our relationship is not real.
Wow.
Oh, he checked you on that.
Oh, definitely. Put me all in my place. So I'm like, you know, I mean, I sat long and hard. I even prayed. I prayed about it. I'm like, you know what, Lord, I hope I'm doing the right thing. And I remember the first time he met her, we went to go pick her up. And she just stood there quiet like, you know, who's this man? You know what I mean? I was like, Karma, this is Marcus. You know, Marcus, this is Karma. And he's very good with kids, very playful and things like that. But still, like, for a long time, even when we moved here together, like, that was scary for me. You know what I mean? Because this is my daughter. Like, I'll live for her as well as die for her. You know what I mean? So it was hard. It was tough. But I just had to trust. I had to trust God. That's the only person who, you know, who kept me sane even when I had to go to work and he had to watch her. It made me so uncomfortable still to leave my daughter with somebody she may see still as a stranger because she has a father. You know what I mean? So, but we good now. It's good now.
How is the dynamic between, because you said the dad is still present?
Yeah.
Okay. So how's that dynamic been with your husband
and him?
her father? Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
That's
You know,
good.
because Marcus is good with everybody, or he'll make it good. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's
He'll
good to hear
make it-
because you know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
times you don't hear the
don't hear it.
positivity of parenting or co-parenting,
Right.
however we want to label it.
Right.
So that's why I just wanted to ask to kind of see what that dynamic looks like,
Yeah.
because people typically get in their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but I don't agree with it because they don't want, it's like they feel like they're losing control or something like
Right,
that. And
right.
it's like, nah, if it's really about the child,
It's about the child.
then,
And I
then
feel like
people
that's where
operate like
things
that.
go toxic, because you're still attached to the person. You know what I mean? Whether you want to acknowledge it or
Right,
not. Because if you weren't, it wouldn't even matter. It just becomes about the child. When I left my child's father, that was it. Like, that was all. Like, we're just done. So anybody else who came after, it's like, I don't give a damn what you do. I hope you don't give a damn what I do. Like, this is just what we're doing. But Marcus invites him out for like Father's Day. You know, they had a Father's Day trip together. My baby's birthday. Like, he's a completely, different animal because of me. But if I said, no, F him, we then Marcus would be like, okay, well, it's whatever you say. Whatever you want to do, I'm with you. But I'm okay with that. I want that because I want it for my daughter. You know what I mean? Because we weren't raised with that, you know what I mean? Or around that, or we seen the toxic. I'm like, I don't want, or I try my best not to project those instances on my child. You know what I mean? And it may be a little overbearing, for her, because I'm trying so hard to not be that.
Right.
So it's like I push for what we don't have, or what we haven't seen, or what I feel, may be right. And they have a okay relationship. Like, he asked to come to Marcus's birthday parties and stuff. So yeah, it's good. And my daughter sees it and she loves it. She loves her father. I love the way she loves her father. I love the way daughters love their fathers, because I was raised by mine. So I just know how it is. And the way she loves Marcus is like, it's no denying that we're in a good space there. That I can say is that we've always been in a good space. And plus, he don't bother me. As long as he don't bother me, I don't bother him. I just, we're
So,
okay.
Remember how we spoke, prior to even cutting the cameras on? Like, it's moments like that where I have a huge level of appreciation, because I have to, it's like I have to live through people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I have multiple children and my dynamic and all of that. But to hear a woman say, like, I love how my daughter loves her father, and that
Yeah.
type of respect.
Yeah.
And for me to experience what I'm experiencing on my end, and it's like, man, like, it still gives, granted, I know that things can change.
Of course.
I understand all of that. But it still gives a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because my
Yeah.
overall experience has been extremely challenging. And it's the most politically correct way that I can say that. So for me, it's refreshing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To see that type of dynamic and that type of respect. And you've already mentioned, like, y'all don't come from that. So
Right.
my question would be to transition, like, where do you get that foundation? You know what I mean? Like, where do you and Marcus feel like, we're going to do healthy? We didn't see it, but it can be done. Like, where does that come from? Because I'm trying to erase anybody's excuse
Yeah. Yeah.
of, this is how I grew up, this is what it
Right.
is. Like, no,
No, I always say that's bullshit anyway. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Can't cuss.
No,
That's
say
fine.
that.
Yeah, no, I always say that's bullshit anyways, because I can't, blame my upbringing for my actions that I have bestowed on me today. Or, you know what, I'm killing niggas because all I saw was murder. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, to say that you're reactive to that, something that happened to you 15, 20 years ago, or from what you saw, is ridiculous. But I feel like for us, like, we talk about the things that we want and we try to work towards that, whether it works or not. We try to work on that. And, sometimes we're not the best at it. We do have failing and trying times. You know what I mean? We always have them. But the one thing I can say we do is that we keep trying. Like, we haven't given up yet. Like, we know, okay, we shouldn't be doing this. Or we said we were going to try to do this, even if it lasts for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And then the next week, we right back at it again. We're like, you know what? We fucked up. You know what I mean? And it's acknowledgement and being accountable.
Right.
I think that's one thing that we try to do, because Lord knows it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror, but hold ourselves accountable for who we are in the relationship. The relationships with ourselves, the relationships with our families, our children, everything. He corrects me on a lot of things. I correct him on things, and we at least try to take it in, you know what I mean, for what we can. Like I said, it don't work all the time. But for the most part, we say, look, these are the two types of people. Like, even coming in this, we said we wanted a partnership, not a dictatorship, right? I never wanted to be married. I never desired marriage. Like I said, I don't come from that. I didn't see that. I didn't see healthy relationships. And then the relationships I did see growing up, I didn't want to be a part of that.
Yep.
And just to be completely honest, I've always had infidelity issues in relationships before, because I'm like, you just ain't about to bounce out on me or cheat on me, or, you know what I mean? Like, that was my brain. Like, you know what I mean? Look out for myself.
Gotcha.
Always be about myself. Look out for myself. And when I met him, that completely changed. Like, all of that just went away. When I say he was my knight in shining armor, like everything, every test I've given him, he's passed. I mean, literally just broke me down to the core.
Test? You got to tell me about the test. You got to tell me about the
So
test.
before moving here, this was the biggest one.
Okay.
So before moving here, because he asked me to move here because I was moving to Vegas. Well, I was already staying in Vegas. And he was like, well, why don't you come move here? And I was like, well, I don't know. You know, that's away from my daddy. You know what I mean? Like, it's far. And I was like, look, I'll give you 2 weeks to look for a place. If you don't find us a place in 2 weeks, because I'm not moving in with anybody. So if you don't find us a place in 2 weeks, then I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
Oh, that was a hard one.
Yeah.
You thought he was going to fail.
Oh, girl. I was hoping he failed. I was hoping he failed. Literally, no, in a week. He was like, yep, I found this place. He looked up the location, the school districts. My baby was barely in preschool at the time. She was 3 years old. He looked up the school districts, areas. I worked for Kaiser at the time. It was a Kaiser right across the street in Duluth.
Wow.
Like, literally everything he looked for was to accommodate me and my life. His family lived clear across Georgia on the other side. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? You know, the help is over there. Like, why? He was like, no, here's right here. Here's Kaiser here. The schools for Karma. Like, everything was legitimately to accommodate me. So I couldn't say no. I didn't have any excuse.
See?
So that put me to the test. Like, literally, like, my bags was packed up to go to Vegas. I was that way, but I moved here. I remember I moved here April 19th. 2016, and my truck got here. And I remember I didn't unpack my stuff for about 3 months. I left my stuff in boxes, just in case it didn't work out.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was still scared and fearful. Yeah. Like, I know this man, but I don't know this man like that. Like, I don't know, like, we've been back and forth. We visited, we did things, but it's different when you live with somebody. You know what I mean? So even that, and I was like, my daughter's here. Even her family asked her to stay. They was like, why don't you let her stay until you get your stuff together? But I'm like, who leaves their children?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, as tempting as that was, because I'm like, okay, well, we're going to a new place, a new area with a new man. If it don't work out, he could be a serial killer. I mean, he could be a woman beater. I mean, he could be all kind of things. You know what I mean? And then I bring my daughter into this space, and then she has trauma forever because she'll never forget it. I don't care, not even at 3. She wouldn't forget it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Like, literally, faith brought me here. Like, God brought me here.
So I'm glad that you're speaking on that, because for one, I hope that a lot of people are as careful, you know what I mean, and strategic in regards to their movement. And it shouldn't take a child to create that type of, character in a person. But when we get back, I do want to talk to you about, because you mentioned, again, growing up, seeing toxic, and then y'all are building this healthy dynamic. But even though y'all are growing and on your journeys, when we get back, what are some of the things you had to check him on? And vice versa. When we get back, relationships matter.
Yeah.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. So before we get into this next segment, I just want to say, I know that we talked early about the culture in California and, this whole idea of not being married, not seeing a healthy relationship. But I just want to commend you on just being true to who you are and just being confident with you as I hear you guys talk about your daughter and the expectations that you set. It's like you're like, I don't need a man for that. I'm cool with me, right, and that's what I hear exuding from you. I'm okay with me. Like I don't need to be validated through a man, or I don't need, I don't have to live vicariously through a relationship if it's just me. Right, I'm cool with me, even to the extent you said. Even in the video, and we talked about it on the last segment. You talked about she has a father. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make that clear up front that she has a father. I want to acknowledge that she has a father, even though they have a beautiful relationship. I get privy to it watching some of Marcus's videos with her. Yeah. I get to see that, and I love their dynamic. But the fact that you can still say, well, she has an active father in her life, and I'm not trying to replace him. Right. I just want to commit. I just want to pull that out on the show for whoever is watching. Yes. For that to be the example. So I had to say that. So now, say that. Because I'm just like, I wish I could be as confident. Like the confidence that's exuding from that chair. Yeah. I'm just in awe. That's why I'm just sitting here doing like this. That's why I'm not saying anything. I'm like, she know who she is, and she, and we can learn a lot from that. Just as a woman. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But Josh want to talk about this whole idea of he checks you on some things and you check him on some things. What exactly does that look like?
You say accountability.
Yeah. Accountability.
I know with our people, but when
you hold him accountable.
Certain lingo, they feel away, and it's like,
oh my God,
not on
check
that.
me.
But it's just an accountability piece, because you mentioned that you both do that with each other. So what are some examples of what that looks like from you and from him?
I don't know if you would call this accountability, but we know we both have like operating roles in this relationship and in our household, primarily in our household. And there will be times when, we get into debacles or disagreements, and I won't fulfill them because I've gotten an attitude and my energy just isn't there. And so we had a conversation the day before yesterday. He was like, look, do you see what you do? When you get an attitude or you become in your feelings, I won't get no breakfast. You won't help me pack my bag. You won't help me do this. You won't help me do that. They ain't get Uber Eats. And he's right. Because I couldn't even, there was no rebuttal. You know what I mean? Like, no, you lying, or you know what I mean? Like, it was none of that. It was like, you're right. So those are some of the things that I try to hold myself accountable or be aware of, like when we are in a disagreement or something like that, like, Turk, that you have to do this, or this is something that you have been doing. So continue to do it. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. It's nothing. Let me see. I mean, I have to check him all the time. So, men don't never get it right.
What does that look like? What would be
like Marcus travels a lot, right? And half of the time I haven't figured out or know where he's going until he said, book my ticket or something like that. And I was like, well, you didn't tell me. He was like, well, you just booked my ticket. And I was like, well, what is it? Where are you going? What are you doing? It's just how he's used to operating. But it's like continuously having to repeat myself, like, talk to me about these things so I know what to prepare for. And it was like, well, what do you got prepared for? You already know what to do, whether I'm here or not. The job still has to get done. And it's like, no, conversate with me so we can have a conversation about it. So things like that. And I feel like, especially in the beginning, he felt like I was trying to control him. And it's like, no, I'm not trying to control you. We're in a relationship. Why wouldn't you want me to know those things? Like, why isn't that something that we can talk about? You know what I mean? Like, why? Well, because you already know, or you seen it on Instagram. I seen it on Instagram, huh? Yeah, I seen you was going to all 3 places on these 3 dates. Like, did you ask if I had anything planned or were we doing anything? So he's gotten a lot better. Like, the checking isn't really checking anymore. You know what I mean? As we grow, of course, things change and things like that. But I feel like for the most part, like, we know better, or we know what we do intentionally. You know what I mean? Especially if something's being done on purpose. Like, I tell Marcus, look, you stay out past midnight, it's an issue. So if something's going on, we having a tobacco, he'll come at like 12:30. And I know it's on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, it's to piss me off.
Petty?
Yeah, petty.
Not
Petty Jim.
him.
No, petty him has grown up a lot. But I know that that's something that, like, he'll intentionally do. And I'm like, look, it's unfair. Like, we both have boundaries. We not even set rules, but it's respect. You know what I mean? And respectfully, this is something that I'm asking for. And respectively, whatever you ask for, like, I have to exert that. You know what I mean? If I don't, then it becomes a problem. But you're aware because I've communicated this with you. Just like I'm aware and you've communicated certain things with me. You know what I mean? So those are the things. It's always petty.
So I got an interesting question. I just was thinking about listening to you talk. Y'all are both extremely successful. Do you find it difficult to operate in your relationship where you take that hat off? Because a lot of times people, right, they're used to operating in their workspace and then they bring that home.
Right.
Is that a big issue for you all?
Yes.
And if so, how do y'all navigate in that space?
It's more of an issue for him than me.
Okay.
Because I'm always operating in the home. My work I do is at home unless I go to the office. But other than that, the majority of my work is done at home. So regardless, I'm still operating in this space of nurture, love, care. Everything is in here. The household doesn't run without me. He comes in and it's a lot of times it's talking about the business, talking about what's going on, or dead silence, because I know that he's given so much to everybody else. Sometimes there's nothing left for me. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I give him that space, but other times, like, you know, damn, I have to start a fight to get your attention. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what I mean? And we're working on it, but it's still like that sometimes. It's hard for, like I said, for him, because that's the space that he operates in and day out. He doesn't take the time and say, you know what, from 5 to 10, none of that. You know what I mean? It's like, this has become, it's a part of who he is. You know what I mean? So turning it off, it'll have to be forced. Like this Saturday, we just went to the park, like Piedmont Park, and just laid there with a blanket. No phones, no nothing like that. Just doing things we don't get to do, and that's just kind of relax. Like, we don't get that.
How does that make you feel?
I've gotten used to it. It used to bother me where I felt like he had like he was detaching from the relationship, like, or what's wrong with you? How come I'm not getting this? It was like I felt like I was being a needy woman because I'm constantly asking you, you know, let's talk about this or let's talk about that. And it's like, okay, well, I'm working. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And clear as day, I can see it. You know what I mean? Like, he's there, I can see it, but it's like you're operating there, you're not operating here. You know what I mean? So especially at the beginning, it used to bother me and it used to cause more arguments because I didn't understand like what was going on, or what are you doing, or where are you going, or who are all these damn people? You know what I mean? Like, and our house had so many people in it. We had a housekeeper, we had an organizer, we had people fixing on stuff. I mean, literally, and it was just, everything was congested. So my release was like, I just want to talk to you, like, about everything that's going on. And he's like, you know what, I can't hear that right now. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I can see it clear as day. And a lot of times it would make me feel bad, even though I was uncomfortable with it. It would make me feel bad because I know he was working. I know he was working because I saw the bank account. So I'm like, you know, this obviously comes from, you know, the labor of the work. And it's like, but I still needed something. And he's gotten a lot better. You know, when we started dating, he was 27. You know, he's about to be 36. So he's completely went from like that young boy to transforming into a grown man.
Talk about that maturation process, though. How did you guys set boundaries around the relationship so that you could have your time and then, because I'm one of them type of people that's driven, like on all the time.
Yeah.
It could be 11 o'clock at night. If I need to call, then I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call.
Right.
So how do you set boundaries around that?
So what?
Before you get into your answer,
Okay.
when we get back, relationships matter.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. So before we went to break, I was asking you about boundaries and how do you guys set boundaries around the relationship, being that Marcus is seems like he's more task driven, like check the box, like you know this, you know. I'm kind of like that too, to the point.
No, them boxes be
them boxes. Them boxes.
Yeah.
So how do you guys create that the boundaries and the balance around the relationship so that you guys can have
just take my
you can have your time and and then he can still do what he needs to do in that space.
So it's something that we do every night, right? Like, and when he was talking to his therapist asked him the same question, like, what is something that, you guys just do for yourself? Like, what's the time to yourself? Because obviously you guys, literally we're running all day. And at the end of the night, maybe I put my kids to bed at 8:30. So after that, like, we have a hookah room. You know what I mean? Like, he'll have a drink and I'll have mine, and maybe for like 3 hours, majority of the nights throughout the week, that's our time to where we kind of get to dump stuff off of one another. Like, but that's pretty much it.
Okay.
As far as like there is no boundaries for anything.
It's business at all times.
Like, literally, we on go. Like, the kids have a schedule. His schedule is everywhere. My non-negotiables is my hair, nails, and feet, and my pampering. But other than that, like, there is none.
Okay.
Like, that doesn't really exist.
She said that doesn't exist.
That don't. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned like about being understanding because you see it, right? But even, and I'm just speaking on behalf of like other conversations I've had and things like that, where a woman can see like the man is working hard, he's on his grind. But then, as you mentioned, that distance, that gap, because it's like, all right, like it's like an ongoing thing, but what about me, or what about the kids, or those things that matter. But how are you able to really like be okay in that space, knowing in the long run, because y'all been together for at least 10 plus years?
Well, it's been 8.
8 years, going on 10, okay. Because I know resentment can set in for people. And we see a lot of couples, even though successful, but the resentment happens. It could be within year 15, it could be within year 20, you know what I mean? Where that can seep in. And for you, it's just a real question, because there are women that, not you, but just in general, there are women who are like, I'm okay with this because I have the lifestyle. I'm good. Like, they'll find those ways to settle. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in y'all's situation, like, y'all really love each other.
Yeah.
But then you have these different dynamics going on. So I just wanted to ask, like, what
if I feel like it goes too far, I'll force myself in the situation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll forcefully put myself there, or I'll forcefully put me and the kids there and say, hey, we coming too. You know what I mean? Like, you going here for that long? Okay, well, we'll come on this day, or when the kids get out of school, or something like that. I don't let it go too far to where we feel completely detached. Like, damn, we ain't seen you. Where you been, or anything like that. Like, if it never goes too far, because like I said, if I feel uncomfortable with something, or I just feel like, nah, I forcefully put myself in a situation.
Do you think he would ever notice on his own, or would he be too locked in?
I don't think it's anything that he would notice. I don't think that he would think that far into it. Like, oh, okay, we'll just come. You know what I mean? Like,
because I'm speaking like as I'm talking again, and I understand the intentions are always pure. I know for me, like in my situation, as much as I worked and different things that I did, again, not y'all's but mine. when things wasn't going right, a part of, for one, the narrative that the kids heard was, well, I'm here doing all of this for y'all. I got y'all. Even though there was the understanding, quote unquote, that daddy was working, but then I was villainized for my efforts when we had to sit in front of that person who makes decisions.
Yeah.
So that's where my question, because I'm just curious, like just naturally curious how you all are balancing that, because it is important. And a lot of times we do get stuck in our roles in such a way that if we don't find that time, to get that balance and to be able to come back, then, it can, in other situations, I know for me, it creates that distance, which turns into something else. That's why I just wanted to ask, how are y'all navigating that?
I just think for us, when I do think about things like that, it's like we really want to be in this relationship. So regardless of what we're going through or how we're going through it, like, if you really want to be in this relationship, you'll salve it out. You know what I mean? Like you'll figure it out. And I just feel like for people who don't want to, for people who chose to step outside of their relationship, marriage or distance or whatever, well, what did you do to conform that? Because obviously you were feeling exactly what I felt and you let it happen like I let it happen. You know what I mean? That's why I said a lot of times I'll forcefully put myself, there like, no, nigga, you going too long. You know what I mean? Like, we'll come or I'll come or you know what I mean, or something like that. But other than that, I feel like a lot of the reason why this works is because we want it to work. That's it. We're not perfect at all. Like, I'm heavily flawed. So is he. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I want to be married to him. I want to be in this relationship.
That's good.
I don't see anybody else but him. And it's been like that since I moved here. Like, it's been nothing or nobody but him, because I want it and because he wants it. And he makes me feel wanted. Like, he makes me feel like this is what we're doing together. It's never him versus me. This is what we're doing together in this marriage. So, yeah.
So you said something when you moved to Atlanta, right? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the adjustment, because you only knew him. You only knew Marcus.
Well, no.
Okay, so
I had a couple friends out here.
Okay.
So I had one friend who I'm no longer friends with, and then I had my other friend, Calvin.
Okay.
So when I first got here, these were the friends that I was hanging with. And Marcus is like, no, you can't hang with them, right? And I'm like, what you talking about? He was like, look, we have to build our foundation here. So if you start showing your daughter to other outside people, she'll get used to that. She won't know me. Like, we have to get to know us. And that was so hard for me.
Wow.
Because I'm like, you got me fucked up. Like I ain't come here to be controlled. And for a long time, I held a little resentment against him, like, you trying to control me. So I would do things, to kind of puff my chest out, like, you not controlling me, when he wasn't wrong. Like, he was not.
What was the examples of some of those things, like puffing your chest out?
Oh, I would go anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Or I would go hang with them anyways. And he was like, well, you kind of know what I said. And I don't think.
But was he hanging with other people, though?
No, not really.
So he was there much of the time?
Pretty much.
Okay.
When I first moved here.
Moved here.
2016 when I first moved here. So I'm not saying I was hanging with them all the time or every day. You know what I mean? He was like, look, don't start introducing her to other people just yet, because she has to get to know me. His main concern was our foundation in this household. My brain wasn't there yet. Like, he was far beyond. When we moved here, he was far beyond the scope of where my brain was, as far as, solidarity, the foundation and the family and things like that. I wasn't thinking like that.
And the fact that he wanted to put that amount of time into developing the foundation, most men don't. Right.
So I probably thought he was full of shit at the time. You know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? Like, I can't go hang with my friend. Like I said, I come from Northern, like, this is what we do. Like, what are you talking about? Right. You know what I mean? But for him, he's been here years prior, so he's seen things, he's done things. And I'm like, I don't know what that is or what you're talking about. So I'll see you later. You know what I mean? But I'm taking my daughter because she's playing with my friend's son and, things like that. And, but eventually I got it. Like, I understood exactly what he was saying.
That's good. So there has to come a level of trust, right? We understand that some people do things in a way that's controlling, it's
Right.
manipulative,
Absolutely.
and all of those things. So we're going to take that box, we're going to put it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
What were his actions that made you feel safe and confident enough in order to really fully buy in? Because listening to your story, obviously I got a million of them.
Mm-hmm.
I got into a relationship and I remember that said person expressed to me, hey, you need to cut all female relationships in your life. All right. For my household, cool, no problem. That's what's gonna make you feel right.
Right.
But on the flip side, the brothers out the yin yang, the we grew up together out the yin yang, just wouldn't let it go. And when I hear you, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was that thing for you? You mentioned one example because you said, well, he told me that, but he was also being an example for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
You know, it was never what he said, it was what he did, right? It was never, you know, it wasn't, you know, he macked on me for a little bit before I got here, but once I got here, it was like straight and narrow. You know what I mean? It's what he did. It's the actions that he took with my daughter. You know, the play dates that he had with her by himself. The things that I felt like he put her before he put me. You know what I mean? Like the things that he did with her, the things that he did for me. This man had nothing and gave me everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything, to where I wasn't this woman I am before I came here. Like, he helped turn me into this woman. When they talk about submission and being soft and things like that, it's like I had none of that before I met this man. But it was so easy to conform into this because of who he was. Like, literally, when I say it was just us, like, it was just us. Like, I've literally hand and foot, like, and we got in arguments, we got in fights. I mean, regular couple stuff, but like, legitimately, it was everything that he did to even put me in position to make me be, how do I say this? Just financially dependent on him to quit my job. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had a job. I'm a college graduate. You know what I mean? But just to relinquish, you know, some of that to him, like, it was everything he did. It was nothing he said to make me feel like it was okay.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So when we get back, more with Marcus's macking.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. All right, so we got the foundation laid, right? You guys have, I guess, well, first of all, before I go there, when you got here to Atlanta, how long was it before you engaged and got married?
A year.
Just a year?
So we got engaged July 5th, 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I was pregnant. I think he asked to marry me because I was pregnant.
Gosh, I wish I could write him over here.
She was due December.
Oh my goodness. But I think you would be able to see through that if that be the case.
Course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I wasn't a person who ever cared to be married. I never felt like marriage was for me in anything. I felt like it was more success. Like when I graduated from college, okay, I'm gonna stay here for a year. I'm gonna go buy a house. Like, I've always just saw me. It was never having a partner, the white picket fence, you know, cleaning and cooking. And that just, you know, that wasn't my forte. So, you know, when he asked, if it wasn't genuine or if I didn't feel like this is something that he really wanted, I know him, it wouldn't have happened. He just wouldn't have asked.
Right.
He's not a person that can be forced into anything.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have happened.
So now y'all have this foundation, right? How did you ease into the whole Atlanta culture, like with the women?
Yeah, because she's struggling with
I'm
that.
struggling with that. I even talked to Marcus
Don't come
about
for
it.
my
I'm
city
struggling.
now.
No, listen, it's, you just have to, what I found is you just have to find your people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that a lot of people get so fixated on the who's who on social media and they want to be attached to that. And a lot of times it's not that. Your people may not be on social media at all, but they can help you flourish and grow in whatever it is that you're doing. A lot of times you just need a supportive group. You know what I mean? Like you don't need you don't need a diehard friend. You just need a supportive group or just somebody you can converse with or talk to. That's what I've found. Because trust me, they come for me all the time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, yeah, get out of here. But but I still keep it cordial.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you learn to put people in boxes. And a lot of times I vibe off of energy. Like if your energy not right, if I don't feel it, I ain't fucking with you. Like we're not even really having a conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you can see through it, especially in Atlanta. A lot of times they just can't, well, can you help me with this or can you do this or what you got going on over there? And it's like, damn, how you doing? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and that's why so many people always say like it's easier for them to talk to me than to talk to my husband because I'm more peer to peer. Like, don't put me on stage and try to ask me all these questions. Like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I like peer to peer. You know what I mean? That's what, to me, that's how I build connections with people. So, I mean, in this circle, you just gotta find your people and trust me, they'll come. But if you don't go out nowhere, you ain't gonna meet nobody. So where you be going?
I don't be going nowhere.
See, that's how you expect to meet anybody. Like your people, like they're here because it's so many people here. And I just feel like if you don't go out and start socializing, like I don't see y'all at no networking events or nothing. Not to say you guys want to do that or you care to do that, but I'm saying if you want to meet people or find your
I was going to come to y'all's,
You
but
should've.
I swear my hair, look, I was getting ready to get the braids and my hair was everywhere. And I was like, gosh, if I had known, I could have did this.
Girl, you could have put on a cute little hat, put in a ponytail. I'd be having them same excuses.
But y'all was supposed to have one in May. I saw the live. I was on the live. No, and I
Which
didn't
one
hear.
in
No,
May?
the guys. They were saying
Okay.
we may do it again in May.
Okay.
But I didn't see anything else on that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay.
No.
I'll look
I
out for the
just had
next
them
one.
too.
I'm definitely gonna.
Yeah,
check
but
it
we
out,
do
though.
a bunch of random pop-up, you know what I mean, stuff. Like I think you was at a couple of David Shan's birthday parties. Like you will go to a birthday party, huh? Yeah, you will go to a birthday party. But that's the thing. Just get outside. I saw Marcus legitimately handpick his people. By going to these networking events, talking to people, being strategic about his alliances and his groups. Like I watched him do it, you know what I mean? But he had to be in these places to do it, to meet these people, to see who they are, what their lives are like. And legitimately, I've seen them build a brotherhood, you know what I mean? And you see it more. A lot of people see it on social media. I don't really show a lot of, social media stuff because I don't care about it. So, yeah.
Outside of work, being a wife, being a mother.
All them jobs.
Yeah. Most important question for me, all the questions have been great, but what are you doing for you?
I knew you was going to ask that question because you asked somebody else. What in terms
Y'all
of
be
what? Like,
busy.
give me.
See, that's why I asked.
No. You got to explain. Like, what do you mean doing for me in terms of what? Because I do a lot of things for myself.
Whatever comes to your spirit, because we all wear these different hats, like you just mentioned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what is something that's good for your personal development? How are you working on your mental, emotional, or spiritual health and well-being? Like those things, you know what I'm saying, that are extremely important outside of finance. Like what is that thing that you're doing? Because other people that watch and see, we have a culture of people who are killing themselves behind making $1.
Right.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I don't care how successful.
No, you're right.
I don't care if somebody got 100 million.
Yeah.
They trying to get 500 million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when is enough ever enough? So that's why I'm asking
it's
for
never
you.
enough.
Right. But again, I'm just saying like, and these are, everybody has their right to make their choices, but I just think it's important because we do forget about us.
Right.
Because we're so busy going And
So
that's
like
why
I said, there's a couple like non-negotiables, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
as far as like on surface stuff, like my hair, like it's non-negotiable. My nail, like these are things that make me feel good. You
Right.
know what I mean? On top of, I just started, so I have a thing where I use therapy coloring books, right? And that just puts me in a mode where I lock myself in my office so I could just not think about anything, because I'm constantly thinking about so much all day from the time I get up, which is like 7:20, to the time I lay down. Like there's maybe like 2 hours that I can just have to myself, but I still got to make phone calls, handle stuff, pay people. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of things that are going on. But for the most part, for me, I try to take a day to myself to where I don't have to do anything. Like, and that's usually on a weekend because that's all I got.
Share. Just on the side note, but I'll share some of those coloring books with me, because I try to get, you know, just different things. Like I write, I read, I love music. Like it's crazy. Like and then it's kind of a part of everything because of the kids and everybody got to get everywhere. But I drive a lot, so for me, I'm spending sometimes 5 hours in the car a day. 5 hours in a car a day. Going, dropping this one off, doing this, doing that. So that's like, for
Same
me,
here.
Therapeutic, where I could just either listen to music or do.
So because I am in a car a lot and legitimate, like you said, 5-6 hours a day, that's me. I listen to spa music because spa music is what helps me think. Like when the kids want to get in the car and start listening to all that, it's like, no, I can't think with that type of music in my ears. So for me, I listen to spa music because it puts me in a relaxation mode, because I always feel like I'm on 10. Like I got to get this done. I got to get that done. There's not a day that goes by that I don't have that, unless it's like on the weekend where I don't want to be bothered by nobody, where I won't answer a text message, where literally I'll just, you know, surf the internet, where I could just do exactly what I want to do. For a lot of times that's what I do for me. You know what I mean? Is find something or some way to relax and let my brain free, because I'm utilizing my brain for everything all day.
No, that's beautiful. So definitely appreciate you. I'm glad we got your king in here.
I want to give her a moment to go ahead and plug Recession Proof, please.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Recession Proof. The #1 financial literacy community in the world. We have almost or a little over 10,000 members. We teach everything from finance, credit, business building. We have the 1%ers, to where there are high earners. You have to be making more than $25,000 or more a month. You know, that's our smaller group. But for the most part, you know, you've seen it. We recession proof.
I think you did that extremely well.
Thank you.
He's proud. He's smiling. You know, as we close out, this has been a beautiful conversation. So I know you're here. But y'all are here.
Yeah.
So I just want to extend my love, man, and just say, you know, how appreciative I am, appreciative we are. But I know for me, you know, I'm just super thankful to see people that look like us doing what they're doing. You have a unique story in the way that you did it, you know, and that's beautiful for other people to see.
Yeah.
Because, you know, clips go up all the time. You just see a lot of people just arguing in the comments about what is this and that and the third. And it's like they can't think outside the box. But you both come from where you come from. You came to Atlanta, navigated in this space, you know, successful. Y'all got kids, you know, y'all are co-parenting in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know, all of those things.
biggest
And,
thing,
you know, you know, being an amazing woman. You got your king in here, amazing guy. Shout out to you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta give flowers, man, when it's important to just always do that. So I try to make sure that is always done, you know, whenever I can, because it is important. A lot of times people don't hear that when they're doing what they're doing, you know. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, King, and appreciate you for being a part of this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we did.
I did.
So you know, absolutely. And till next time, I'm gonna work on my Mackin. I'm gonna get into Mr. Barney's class to see what it do, how I can grow and get my financial on, get this credit thing popping and all of that. Newest member of the Recession Proof family, right here.
Go.
Here we go. Till next time, relationships matter. We'll holler at y'all.
Relationships matter. need you to understand relationships matter.